I'm ready.
Good. I pressed live before I even asked, just to catch you off guard. I'm sorry, that was mean.
It's okay.
I did a Sharon Baker as well. Like I didn't even warn you. Hi, I'm Del Rodriguez. This is Flabonga Monthrothacube. Flabonga Monthrothacube, FM for short. And with me today, I have Caroline Hobden.
Hello, how are we?
We, or am I? How am I?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fabulous. All the better for seeing you.
Thank you. Likewise, thank you for being on this. I say this to every guest, every person that comes on. You're a busy person. You've got stuff to do. No one is paying you to be here yet. And yeah, you're taking time out of your day to talk to me over lunchtime as well. Like, what kind of idiot decides to do stuff over lunchtime? Ridiculous.
It's all good. Do you know what? Getting away from the desk and the day job for a little bit is great. So no, I'm really looking forward to chatting to you, Joe. And if you hear my stomach rumbling, though, I do apologise now.
That's cool. That's cool. So for the uninitiated, who are you? What do you do? Who do you work for? And how do I know you? There you go.
Oh, God, that's a good question. So I am the portfolio director for Accountex. And for those that don't know, Accountex includes a portfolio of in-person live events and virtual events. And we also have a newsletter. It includes the largest accounting event in the world, which is Accountex London, which takes place in May. And we are just in the run-up to Accountex Manchester, which is the sister event, and it's taking place on the 19th of September at Manchester Central. And yeah, my day job is about spinning a lot of plates all the time. We've also got an extended portfolio. We have a show in Spain now, which reports into me, which is going extremely well. And we also have a show in Canada. So yeah, I think that's a little bit random. How we know each other? When did we first meet? I just feel like we've known each other forever.
Zoe Lacey Cooper introduced us while we were at the LUCA or Luca Awards.
That's
I
it.
don't know about you. I was a little bit tipsy and I made some terrible jokes. You laughed politely.
I think we all might have been a little bit tipsy that night.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. The reason why I am hesitating, I'm like, do I ask you more questions about the accounting space, or do I ask you more questions about the event space? Because like one is more like esoteric, and one is more eclectic. We're gonna go for events first. First and foremost, though, I do have to give a shout out. Raquel Flores. Oh, so just to explain, before we went live, we were joking about how Caroline and I can't speak Spanish or roll our R's. And I explained to her that Raquel has given me a tip on learning how to roll my R. So Raquel Flores, she's in Texas right now. It's like 7 a.m. Caroline, she's the lady that told me about the Rosas Rojas thing.
Oh, that's a great tip, Raquel. Thank you. I'm going to practice that. I've written it down. I'm going to practice it.
Yeah, because we were talking about our inability to speak Spanish and the fact that my last name is Rodriguez, and again, I can never
my Spanish team are going to be so impressed if I can actually nail this. So I'm going to practice and work hard, do my homework.
Rosas
Rojas. We'll practice it.
I just did it there by mistake. I didn't even try. How good is that? Okay. Events.
Yes.
Let's go with events first, because there's some non-accountants watching. So let's go. Okay, first and foremost, what does GEO stand for? It's on your LinkedIn profile for the roles you've had.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. So Geo Business was the show that I organised prior to joining the Accountex team. So I've been working for Diversified for over 10 years, and my role prior to Accountex was on GeoBusiness, which is all about geospatial technology. So it's all, think of surveyors, think of the people that stand on the street with those tripods scanning.
Yeah, the tripod thing is.
Scanning the data. And then what they do with that data is absolutely incredible. So you could scan a completely empty field, and then they take those scans and create incredible structures from it. That it's a wonderful industry. The show's still going extremely well. It's combined with one of our other events here at Diversify, which is DCW Digital Construction Week. And it's I did that from the launch. I think we launched it in about 2013, something like that, and loved every minute. Yeah.
Cool. Sorry, the reason why I'm looking so mischievous is I'm listening to what you're saying and thinking to myself, what kind of fun questions can I ask her?
What can I catch her out with?
You will not catch you out on, but I realise, so obviously I know you from the accounting space, but you mentioned where you've worked for Diversified, you've worked on different industries and events. So my first question is, which industry or which event is the most interesting, and which one is the most rowdy, like surprisingly rowdy? And I ask that, it's a semi-loaded question, because accountancy gets a stigma of being boring. I've seen accountants at events. Man, can they drink? Man, can they party? Surprisingly. But you've seen more industries. Which one has been the most surprising to see,
Well, I think, I did have this preconception about accountants, which I probably shouldn't, because my entire family are accountants. So not only am I married to one, but my father is one, and my brother is an accountant too. So, but I think I just thought that it was going to be a little bit. Going to the first show I went to, I remember thinking everyone's going to be wearing suits and ties, and I was absolutely blown away. It was probably one of the most impactful moments, going and looking at all the stands and all the creativity that was going on. And I think I saw about 2 suits in that first event that I went to. It really did blow me away. I also remember organising my first Accountex in London a couple of years ago, and there was an after party at one of the local establishments, and it was off the chain. There was some incredible breakdancing going on by some amazing accountants. So I think, in terms of the most surprising, I think that the accounting world has definitely surprised me. But it's so innovative, and it's such an amazing ride, and I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. But I have worked on some prior to accountancy. I think it was when I worked with the ocean technology community. They knew how to party.
Okay.
Most of their big deals got done after hours in a pub somewhere.
Serious?
Oh yeah.
Stupid question. When you say ocean technology, do you mean like people building submarines and submersibles and such?
It's more about underwater surveying. So equipment that you could take out on a boat and survey the sea, essentially. But Ocean Business, it's a fabulous event that takes place in Southampton, and we launched that one as well. I was involved in that in about 2007. We launched that. And then prior to that, I was doing oil and gas shows in Aberdeen.
Boo.
I know.
Boo.
First job out of university.
I'm joking. We all need oil and gas, so I don't know why people boo that stuff.
First job out of university, that one. And but I did a show in Azerbaijan.
Very cool.
What an amazing country. Absolutely fascinating. I think it was opened my eyes to a lot of things, that show. And as a sort of early 20-something, it was quite a shock to the system, but it was fabulous. Loved every minute.
Where did you go to university?
I went to university. I was at Surrey University. Now, this is going to surprise you. I have a degree in fashion and business. I know. That
doesn't surprise me at all.
Well,
you're always very well dressed. It now makes sense.
I don't know, but it was a different age, a long time ago, and I loved it. I loved every second. But I got there, and I realised very quickly that unfortunately I wasn't going to be the next Vivienne Westwood, as I had absolutely dreamt of being, because I really wasn't talented enough. But I actually really enjoyed the business side. And there were always projects. It was project work. It was always something, you're working to deadlines, submitting projects and that kind of thing. And I absolutely loved it. Got a great degree at the end of it. But I then went and worked in the fashion industry for a year or so, and it just didn't take me like I thought it would. I was sort of doing the buying side, and
what were you expecting, and what didn't quite deliver on from your desires or needs or wants from a role?
I don't know. I genuinely, oh God, it's so long ago now. I'm trying to, rack my brains. Many moons ago, but it just didn't. I sort of felt like I should be so enamored with this profession that I had dreamt about for so long, and it just didn't take me. So I thought, why don't I try something different? What do I really love doing? And it was going back to that project element and the project work. And I used to always organize the events at like university and school and hockey clubs and things. And so just sort of stumbled upon a job working in trade shows, and I've been doing that ever since, and I love it.
Cool. When trade shows happen, what do you guys do for the rest of the year? Because I can only assume. Exactly. I can only assume it's not just like a month worth of work. I can only assume the other 10 to 11 months you're doing stuff to make the show work. So what don't we see? Because as attendees, we go, oh, they've only done like 3 or 4 days. So I thought,
Yeah.
can't be that hard, right? But obviously, it's more.
Oh, yeah. It is a 365 days of the year effort. You know, we're already planning for. I mean, I'm looking at contracts of venues that are a couple of years in advance as well. We're already planning before we've delivered a show, so we're already looking at Manchester 2024. You know, there's already plans in place for that. But from, you know, you've got 3 major departments really in an organizing company. You've got your marketing team, who are obviously looking at the messaging, and your messaging starts around building the exhibitors and attracting the exhibitors in, and then that will move more towards the visitor marketing. Then you've got your operations team who are responsible for building it, getting all the contractors there, giving the manuals out to the exhibitors, helping them with the day-to-day. And you've got the sales team who are responsible for obviously getting the clients in. It is a massive operation, portfolio like Accountex as well, where you've got multiple products, multiple events. There really isn't a downtime for us. And it's always like when someone says, oh, do you mind if I go on a little bit of a holiday? You know, you really have to kind of, no, you have to go on a holiday. Of course you go on holiday, but there isn't really a good time. But it keeps us incredibly busy. And I think it keeps the inspiration going. We love it.
Okay. Question related to Accountex specifically. Okay. I am someone who works in a mid to large accounting firm. I'm based in the southeast of England, so London, main point of call, literally an hour and a half away, nice, easy, not too expensive. Why would I go to Accountex London and then go to Accountex Manchester?
That's a really good question. I think that we do get very different audiences at both shows. So the Manchester event does service the north of the country, and London does tend to service, on the whole, not always, the south. But I think if you're going to come to a show like Accountex, you're going, you know, there's going to be some staples that you know you're going to get from it. You know, you're going to get a fantastic program. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to find out the insights, where the profession's going, innovation. You're going to really be absorbed by the accountancy profession. You're also going to meet some incredibly innovative exhibitors. You're going to see what tech's out there, what's new, what's different. You can meet with your current suppliers, find new suppliers. There's going to be networking no matter what. There's going to be a lot of fun because we do like our after parties at Accountex. We do. But I think it's the power of the unknown. We talked about this briefly before I came online, and it's just, I've had so many people who have come to me and said, you know what, I wasn't sure if I was going to come today. And then I did, and I met this person who has told me about this widget that's now going to increase my productivity by 500%. I've met people a couple of years after a show where they said, I came along to the show and I met someone who's now my business partner. We've got a startup, we've got major investment, we're going to take on the world. So it's just what you don't know, I think, is so important. And when you're working in a profession like accountancy, everyone understands, everyone's got the same interests. And I love seeing people queue up for a cup of coffee and they just get chatting to someone behind them. And it's not like you're ever going to have an embarrassing moment where someone's not related, that you've got something in common.
I mean,
right?
I've had a few embarrassing moments at campus. That's usually the after parties. So
after parties,
let's not necessarily here.
After parties.
There's some stuff that happens. So.
Yeah. But I just encourage everyone to come along and absorb what's going on in the profession. I think we can live in our own little boxes and we can, feel quite safe where we are. But just take that leap of faith and just a day out of the office to come to an event like Accountex. There could be something that could change your life or your company's life. And I don't want to sound too dramatic. That was very dramatic, but
it's too late now. You just did an expert 2-minute sales pitch.
It was a drama bomb, wasn't it? It was
go to like Accountex London and Manchester because they're both equally dope. That's pretty much
equally dope. There you go. I like that. It's going to be my new strapline.
You said off the chain earlier. So
I'm down. I am down. Absolutely.
You're down. Yeah. You down with the sickness?
My kids will be so humiliated if they ever heard me say that I'm down with the kids, but I try.
I mean, yeah. How old are your kids?
I've got an 11 and 13-year-old.
Yeah, they're going to be super
embarrassed. Teenager. He's not going to be cool with that. Yeah.
Got to give a shout out to Darren Glanville.
Oh, lovely Darren.
I know. He's one of those pillars of the UK accounting
Love him.
fintech sector. He's been around a while. Most people like him. Not everyone, but most. I was joking.
I can't imagine anyone doesn't.
I mean, I could manufacture some maybe. Just stir sorry,
that pot.
that's not very helpful. Okay, if I am a young or younger person, 19, 20, 21, finishing uni, finishing school, sod it, I'm 16. How would I get into event management? How do I apply for a role? What kind of positions should I look for?
It's a great question. And when I left university, or even went to university, I was not aware of any event management courses whatsoever. So I believe there are several university courses now that you can go and join and do. But to be honest, to get into event management, you don't have to have a degree. I think if you're willing to start at the bottom and work your way up, then there's so many opportunities, and there's so many different types of events as well. The event industry is booming. I mean, I've always done trade shows, which I absolutely love, and I especially love doing business to business events. And I just think, just write to a few, get in touch with a few organisers. I mean, I think we've got some jobs at the moment for some of the sort of entry level positions. So do check out our website if anyone's interested. It's diversified.co.uk or divcom.co.uk, and it'll be divcom.co.uk. Diversified.
And I think Darren's responding to. Darren's responding to you saying, what you need to get into the industry.
Oh.
You need Caroline typo as a mentor.
Oh, that's so nice.
Do you have time for some mentees?
I could always make some time to bring the next generation through. Absolutely. I think as long as you've got a passion for what you're doing, you could succeed at anything within this world. You just got to be passionate about it.
Okay. I know we touched on this already, but I'd like to recap this again. So what kind of person should work in events management? Like you said, you liked it when you did it at uni and realised actually it's something you enjoyed. Is it a natural calling? Do people realise they like it or not? Or are there certain personality types? Presumably you've got to be a people person.
I think if you're going to work in sales, you have definitely got to be a people person, 100%. If you're going to work in the marketing side, you've got to be able to spin an incredible amount of plates at all times. And if you're going to be working in the operations side of things, then you do need to have kind of a technical brain and understanding. But I think to do any of it, and it is the basis, and I'm really sort of hot on this within my team, is it's all about being incredibly organized. It's all about the processes and the foundations. And if the foundations are strong and you've got good systems in place, then you can build upon that. And it's
Caroline, you're speaking my language, baby. Yeah. Talk dirty to me. System.
You like a system. Process. It's so important, right? It's the foundation of everything.
It's because, right, I am naturally lazy.
Never.
Which I've transformed into pragmatism. And if I can make my day easier by having a computer do it faster, or me having to think less, I will do it that way. 100%. And if I can iron out the wrinkles and have a good system and process that is idiot-proof, or as idiot-proof as possible. Honestly, you started saying that, I was like, yeah.
It's so true though, right? And do you know what? I think as well, because I've got such a terrible memory, which gets worse as I get older, I like to have everything so organized that I can always go, if I don't remember it, I can always go find it. I can always go look somewhere. I've just got some kind of roadmap that I've been, I'm on.
CRM. And a good one.
Right? A good one.
Well built, well planned. Easy for the salespeople to put their notes in, because salespeople hate doing notes. They do. We all do.
They do.
I get it. No, I completely get it. Honestly, great systems are the way forward. In fact, what do the dragons often say on Dragon's Den when they're looking to invest? We want a scalable and repeatable business. If you don't have systems in place, you might be making money, you might be making profit, but you're working way too hard for it.
Absolutely. And for what we do, you're organizing event after event after event, and you don't want to sort of make mistakes you've made before. You want to never forget those mistakes, but you want to build and make it better next time. So you do need to constantly have these processes in place to make sure that you're not going to have those same pitfalls again.
Okay. Delegates versus exhibitors. Who's more important to an event?
Oh, that. Can I plead the fifth on that?
It's a very mean question.
That is
no, you
such.
I know. I should tell you, you don't have to answer that question.
I tell you what, there's a little bit of a chicken and egg situation here, because what comes first? If you're going to launch an event, which I've done many, many times, you obviously have to ensure that there is going to be an audience there. So you have to sort of know that there's a demand and a need for a show. You've also got to know that you've got some vendors who are going to come along and support it. So I obviously, God, I can't. They're both equally as important as each other, because they both work off each other as well. But you got me there. That was a difficult one. I like it.
I did say I was going to ask some Paxman level questions, because you can't say one or the other.
You can't. They're so.
I mean, I can.
All right. Who do you think's more important?
I don't exhibit, so delegates.
There
obviously,
you go.
I go,
there you go.
to have a good time. No, I generally. Okay, here's another question that's more nice. So when accountants or bookkeepers attend Accountex, they can get CPD, so continued professional development points. How? How does somebody become CPD certified? How does it work?
Yeah, so we actually work with a CPD provider, and to ensure that our content is sufficient to qualify for the CPD, we record all of our sessions, the audio for all of our sessions. We send it along as soon as the event's finished. We send it along to the CPD provider. They kind of give it a big tick, and then we're issued with all the certificates that we email out to our attendees. So, provided you've physically been to the event, you will receive a CPD certificate.
I know I got a CPD certificate.
And you're not an accountant.
Which I find kind of funny, because I'm not an accountant. I don't need the points to maintain my accreditation.
I know.
But it's nice to know that I'm continuously learning. I'm not complaining.
There you go. There you go.
Something you kind of mentioned before, chicken leg exhibitors versus delegates. Not versus, they're both equally important to an event. How would someone go about starting an event? Let's say I think, Accountex is all right, but we need another show. How would I even get started?
Well, the most difficult part, to be honest, is finding an idea for a show that's not currently out there, because there are shows for everything you can imagine. So provided you've got a good idea, the first thing is you've got to spend at least a few months doing your research. You have got to go and speak to everybody. You've got to go and speak to the potential delegates. You've got to speak to the people, the advisors, the gurus, the people that know their stuff and are really involved in directing that industry, whatever it might be. You've got to go speak to the vendors. Then you've really got to go on gut instinct. I have to say that all the event launches I've been involved in, it's been about gut instinct. And if you can say those immortal words, we've got an event here, then you're onto something. And then you've got, obviously, venues is a very sort of start of the process. You've got to get
Excel ain't cheap.
The Excel. They're what a venue. It's not cheap.
It's a good venue.
It's a great venue. But to be honest, event venues in this country are really hard to come by. Other European countries do it a lot better, if I'm really honest, and they've got they've got Excels in every state. I know.
Let's be honest.
I know.
We're a really small country. We don't have so much space.
We don't have much space.
That makes sense.
Which is a real shame. But then you've got to put your whole plan in place, your marketing plan, your business plan, and you've, like we said before about strategies and organization and processes. I'm very hot on making sure that we do have day of delivery. It's a day of the show. You work backwards from that and make sure that you're hitting all your points, hitting all your deliverables, and getting to it. But it doesn't come without a huge amount of stress, I have to say. And you genuinely don't know until that opening morning if you've done it. You just don't know.
I mean, you wear it well, by the way. Whenever I see you, you don't seem stressed.
Oh,
like you know.
Hide it well. Hide it well.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters how many shows you've had, or what industry you're working or anything. I think that there's always going to be a nervousness about getting to the opening morning of that show. You've got your exhibitors in, everything's built. When those shutters come up and you see people that are queuing, particularly for Accountex, queuing out the building to get in, and you just get that buzz. It's incredible. And I always tell this story, and I don't know exactly how many events I've organized over the years, but there's a lot. And it was the Accountex that directly followed COVID, Accountex London. And we did this open show announcement, and we said, we just, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to the exhibitors. We're just about to open the doors. Thank you for your support. There was the biggest cheer from inside the hall. And the shutters came up, and I realized that the visitors coming in, they were cheering as well. I just got goosebumps. It was an incredible feeling. And, you realize that that's why you do it. You do it to make everyone happy and have a great time.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this to get paid or endorsed. Accountex, pretty good show. It's worth going, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's really good. What was your first car?
Do you want to have a guess, or should I just go for it? I don't think you'll guess.
Model T Ford.
I don't know. I'm so rubbish with cars. I don't even know what that is. That's a nice car, isn't it?
I'm making an age-related joke. It's not one of the first automobiles ever. You mentioned it. I don't think you're old, but you said it, so I thought I'd play into the joke.
I got it.
And it backfired. I went too niche.
I got it. No, it was a penny farthing. No, I'm only joking. It was a Volvo 440. It was this
that's a classic.
red little number. It was my dad, who's majorly about health and safety. So he thought a good Volvo with a good steel cage in it is something safe for the kids to drive. So yeah. But the funny fact, I was nearly never allowed to drive that car again when I thought I'm going to wash it, because I'm looking after my first car, and I washed it with fairy liquid. I didn't know that you couldn't put fairy liquid on paint and it would make it not look so great. So yeah, wasn't very popular. Not sure he's forgiven me yet, but one day.
We're just going to let that sit for a second.
Okay. I know. It wasn't bright.
You tried to wash a car with fairy liquid. You know what? I'm not going to tease you about that. You know why?
Why?
That was your first car.
Yes.
You're trying to do the right
I
thing.
was.
You didn't know.
Didn't know.
You can't mock someone for being ignorant. That's not fair. Like, if you did it and you knew, that's you being a dumbass, and I tease you mercilessly. But you didn't know.
There you go. Thank you.
No.
I appreciate that.
Your heart was in the right place, so I'm not gonna mock you.
Thank
for
you.
that. Of all the cars you've owned, do you have a favourite that comes to recollection?
Oh, that's a really good question. I'm going to say, and it had a very tragic ending, this car, but it was a Ford Cougar. Obviously, it's like an SUV. I know, and it's ridiculous, and it's Cougar with a K.
I was going to say a Cougar driving a Cougar.
Well, it was, and I did get everyone used to absolutely rip me for it, but it was spelled Kuga, and I loved that car. It wasn't anything particularly fancy, but it was kind of nippy and speedy, but it was a big car. It was an SUV. I didn't have to bend down to get into it, and I absolutely loved it. And then I had it a couple of years, and my husband borrowed it to go to a charity golf tournament in Norfolk, and we live in the southeast. And he was leaving said golf tournament, and for no explained reason, it caught on fire. It just flames and smoke started coming out the engine.
Is that the story he told you?
That's the story he told me. That's the one he's going with. So yeah.
Because cars don't usually just catch fire.
They don't. It was really crazy. And so I said to him, so what did you do? He said, well, I pulled straight over and I got out the car. I said, oh, what did you get out of the car? Because he had like his laptop in, it was a work thing, and his laptop in there, he had a suitcase in there, he had bits in there. And he said, well, no, I got my golf clubs out, obviously. I got my golf clubs out. I said,
I knew he was going to say that, by the way. You're right, obviously.
Right? It's like the car could have blown up at any moment, but he got his golf clubs out. So yeah, I was really sad to see the back of that. I would probably still be driving it now if it was hadn't blown up, but there you go.
I'm sorry to hear about your car loss.
Thanks.
Have 5 seconds of silence for the Ford Cougar. That's enough silence. Paid versus non-paid events. So Accountex, for example, as a delegate, as someone going, I don't pay anything to go, right? It's free to attend. Are there any pros and cons to paid versus non-paid events?
It's a really big argument within the event industry, actually, because if you put a value on something, and it doesn't need to be a big value, but if you put a value on something, you're more likely to get a higher attendance rate. So obviously we get thousands upon thousands of people register for our shows, but obviously the conversion rate of people who attend is going to be lower than that. Now, if you put a value on it, then the attendance rate would go up. So there is that argument. The model in the UK does not tend to follow the paid route. It's not something I'm a fan of. I would much prefer to make them free.
Wow.
I think do you know what? It's always been that way. I think it's always been that way, that the delegates should not be sort of penalised to come into the show. Equally, saying that, when you do charge for delegate places, you can then put on tea, coffee, lunches, and things like that. But you want to make it as accessible as possible for as many people as possible. But then you go look at the American model or the Canadian model, and we've got a show, Accountex Canada. That model is paid, and we came on and we said we're going to do the show, and I suggested the non-paid model, and they were like, oh no, people just wouldn't go. It's just not done here. So I think you do have to adapt to your surroundings as well, and to where you are in the world. But I like supporting the non-paid route. And if we ever did go down a paid route, it would be something, it would be a nominal fee. And I would always recommend that it was a charity donation. It was a charitable donation. But yeah.
That's fair. Do you mind if I ask you a question that you may not be able to answer, or two, if you can, might get you in a little bit of hot water, and you can choose not to answer it.
Oh, exciting. Yeah, go for it. Is this worse than the exhibitor versus visitor, or? Okay, go on.
But let me ask them. Okay, so as someone who has been at an exhibitor at events, I think the frustration can be, as an exhibitor, you've paid for your square footage, you've got your expensive statistics, they're expensive, some of them. How do event organisers prevent, it sounds really bad, time wasters? Now, granted, I, as someone who's exhibiting, I'm there to sell to a degree. There's networking selling, so it's my job to validate leads and all that kind of stuff. But I think in the past where I've exhibited, people just come in for the swag and all that kind of stuff. Is there any support that event organisers can do to prevent that, or is it just on the exhibitor to handle their business?
And it is genuinely a problem, and I think it is worse for other professions. We organise some natural organic shows within the company, and they really do struggle with the time wasters that are coming in for the swag. It's not something that we've experienced massively in Accountex. We did actually have to escort someone out of the show this year who was wearing what looked like a fishing jacket, and they were just stuffing swag in their jacket, which was something I've not personally had to deal with before. But I think that's genuinely, if that became a massive problem, I think that's genuinely you have to introduce the paid for model, unfortunately, because the paid for model will put that off. If you wanted to, for example, you're not an accountant, I'm not an accountant, you could make sure that accountants come in for free, non-accountants have to pay a hefty price. But that's really difficult because
that'd be really hard to prove.
Exactly. And I wouldn't want you to pay to come to any of my shows, because I think you get great value from them and we get great value from having you there. So I think it is really difficult. It's one that we definitely keep our eye on. We don't get masses of complaints from our exhibitors. So it's something to keep an eye, and we will adapt and change and support where we can.
Quick segue, I have to give a shout out to Alex Watts. Hey Alex, if I ever need to receive bad news, I demand Dale does it. That voice is soothing.
I agree, Alex. I agree. You should do Audible books and those books, yeah. But the ones that people go to sleep to because it's so soothing.
You think so? Oh, cool. If I've got anyone working in voiceover or radio or audio, give me a shout. I'll give it
absolutely.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Caroline. That was very nice of you to say. Okay. I think the fishing jacket story is pretty unique. But other than that, have you ever had, what's the funniest moment you've had with an exhibitor trying to, either get them booked or get them set up, or back and forth with negotiation that you can think of that's really this is hilarious?
With an exhibitor?
With an exhibitor. Yeah, we obviously can't say who they are, but there must have been times when you've dealt with some absolute, for lack of a better term, knobs, right? And it must be funny dealing with some knobs. Doorknobs. We're talking about doorknobs.
Absolutely. I have got a little bit of an X-rated story. Yeah.
Hold on.
This is.
Let me just put you on the left side.
This is from a long time ago, and there was a show that we organised, and I'm going to have to try and protect my sources and my clients here a little bit, so I won't give too much detail. But a company paid for a stand. They actually set up a website, and they had a name that was very similar to the profession that we were working in, and didn't think anything of it. And we were like, yeah, okay, when you come. they paid for a smallish stand, probably sort of 4 meters by 3 meters, something like that. But it was funny because they said, no, we just want a closed off office because we're going to have meetings. So we built a wall on it with a door. And in those days, you didn't need to have glass. These days, for health and safety reasons, you need to fire regs. You need to put glass panels indoors so you can always see in and out. But didn't need. Anyway, as the show went on, a queue started to form outside this stand at this door. I thought, God, they're doing very well. And we realised that what they were doing inside said office was not, so above board. Definitely wasn't the profession. And they'd invited a few ladies to work some magic inside said office. And once we realised, we had to ask them to leave immediately, obviously. But
I mean, that's one way to do sales.
It was, I tell you, it was quite unbelievable. But, you know, people will try anything, I guess. But
that is funny. Not quite the same thing. So where I've worked in bookkeeping and accountancy and looked at clients' books, when you have kind of smaller business or sole traders who might accidentally use their personal card for business stuff or vice versa, and some of the things they've purchased from, I don't know, and some is that just appearing in the bank statement and having to have the conversation like, can't pry, but I'm guessing this is for office use, and then it's just awkward for everybody.
That's so awkward, isn't it? It's just like, no, don't do that.
Although I did have one client who tried to get an office chicken and claim it as a business expense.
No.
Yeah, and I was like, I was managing the account, so I wasn't an accountant doing the work, but I was like, I'm not an accountant, but even I know that's not going to fly.
Good pun.
Like, but it could be considered. They're trying to justify it. They're like, oh, it could be like an office pet, which would help with stress, and it could lay eggs, and that could be like a lunch benefit for staff. I was like, staff aren't going to want some mangy chicken eggs from your weird tax evasion idea. Stop it. Shut it down. And they're like, Dale, you're not an accountant. Like, I don't need to be to see that's a dumbass idea.
Don't need to be. Sometimes you don't need to be to know something like that.
No, but yeah, that's the funniest.
I love that
work-related story. What other questions have I written down to ask you? That's pretty much it. Here's a hot topic, mostly for the accountants and the people in professional services. How much do you know about AI? Does it impact the event space? And how much do you know if it impacts the accounting world? Again, I know you're not an accountant, so don't,
Yeah.
don't know all the answers.
I'm really not. But all I know is that from the show we did in London, where we did a few AI sessions that were absolutely packed. It is definitely a session that people really want to know about. They want, probably don't understand, much like me, they don't really understand it, don't really understand what the impact is. And we've got a couple of sessions coming up in Manchester on the 19th of September, one of which is Beyond ChatGPT, the future of AI in tax. Great session. We've got the fabulous Rebecca Bennyworth, who is incredibly well known, as is Paul Applin on that one, with one of my firm favourites, Dermot Hamblin and Nick Stobbs. So I think that's not to be missed.
All great people. I follow and listen to.
They know their stuff. They know their stuff. Yeah. We've got another one, though, towards the end of the day, which I think is going to sort of be a culmination of other sessions that are going on during the day. But it's AI versus accountants. And it's the end of accounting as we know it sort of question. So I think, and we've got a fantastic panel which has got ACCA, ICB. We've got some vendors on there like Free Agent, Dexter and Iris. So I think that's going to be well worth listening to. But it really is something that we get asked about a lot. It's something that people want to know more about. And those are just a couple of examples that we've got in the Manchester programme, but there's more to be seen. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting topic that needs to be explored.
Cool. And just in case the ladies and gentlemen at home didn't quite catch that, when is that happening? Where is that happening? Times and dates, please. Manchester, where? Yeah,
so it's Accountex Summit Manchester. It's a one-day event taking place at the beautiful Manchester Central on the 19th of September. Registration is completely free. Go onto our website, accountex.co.uk, and you will find the Manchester event where you fill in a quick form and you can come along for the day. We've got over 100 exhibitors. We've got 4 theatres packed with just some incredible sessions. The program's all online, so you can look at that now. There's an after-show party, which is always extremely popular. Like we said, we do like our after-show parties. And we've got loads of features as well. We're working alongside a company called Karma, and we're continuing our Trees for Attendees initiative. So for every attendee to Accountex, we will plant a tree to offset the carbon emissions.
Where are those trees being planted?
Oh, all over the place. I need to refresh my memory exactly where they're planted, but the Karma is a fantastic company. Do look them up on the internet. It's Karma with a C, CARMA, and they also work with veterans as well, supporting them as they come out of service, giving them jobs as well. So we're incredibly proud to work with them. We've got T-loop systems in all our theatres now, which is going to help anyone who's hearing impaired. We're working with Rachel Harris, who's so well known, who's going to be doing our content creation clinic. So anyone that needs a little bit of help with their social media journey, to go and speak to her. We've got giant deck chairs. We've got so much going on, lots to see and do.
There's stuff going on. All right, cool. So thank you for that promo. Have the money sent to my PayPal in the next couple of days. All good. That's some dope promo. Hopefully your bosses are happy as well, because we can edit that. You can just
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, now the list is long. The list is very long.
Go for it.
Why did you start doing these interviews, and what do you enjoy the most about them?
I started doing them in lockdown because I had nothing else to do.
Good answer.
But also, with LinkedIn specifically, it's always had this weird kind of social media, not social media. And there's 2 schools of thought. There's people on, I don't know, the far left or whatever, who are like, yeah, I'll post whatever I want. I'll post pictures of my dog, my cat, and my dinner, like Instagram and Facebook. And there's people on the far right who are like, LinkedIn is a business platform. You need to be talking about sales. You need to be talking about how good you are, blah, blah, blah. And they're 2 extremes, and both suck, in my opinion. And I was like, how do I get a bit of both? Okay, I can talk and share my opinions, but that'll get very old very quickly, because I'm very opinionated. Not going to change much. Or I could interview people in their industries and ask them about their sector. So I'll ask you about events and management, all that kind of stuff. And then I'll ask you dumb questions like, what was your first car? And it's a way of mixing that kind of like business / personal. And that's how it started. Also, I'm not going to lie, when I do these, I get more likes and followers. It makes me look.
I love that.
To be very honest. I know, I'm not even gonna lie.
And you're very good at it. I've really enjoyed it. But I have another question. Where did the name come from? I feel like I should know this.
No, it's cool. It's not well known. So when I started doing these had no names. It was just some random people that I knew. I did maybe 2 or 3 people on at once, and we'd chat. And there's a guy, a friend of mine, who I've not actually met in face to face yet. I need to meet him. His name's Nick Smethurst. And I was like, man, I should name this. I should start branding it just to make it a thing. And from the top of his head, he just said, Flabonga Monthrothacube. He's Mancunian, by the way. That was me trying to do my character. And he said it, and I went, what the hell does that mean? He went, nothing, mate. Just made it up. And I was like, let's do it.
I love that. All right.
His brain is amazing.
I love that. That honestly is brilliant. And I have an awkward question for you now. I know. This is revenge. Who's your best guest and why?
You.
I know. No, you can't say me. Can't say me.
Who is my best guest?
Yeah.
It's a tough one. By the way, you're not the first person to ask me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. So it's for different reasons. So Gareth Wax, a friend of mine, he's been on like 3 or 4 times, and the last episode he was on, he wanted to do a serious conversation, and he has a business in mycelium, so the precursor to mushrooms. The people who are watching it, the likes of John Toon in the accounting space, who love puns, they hijacked the show. It was 20 minutes of mushroom puns. And like, Gareth is a cool guy, but he wanted to talk about other business and stuff like that. And it just got, so that was really fun having him on. And he was a good sport, so he just
I love that.
I had Sarah Hunt on a few months back. Again, she's a niche accountant who works in e-commerce. And again, she had this perfect balance between being a geeky accountant and being a fun person. Zoe Bowles was on a few weeks ago. Again, she's an ISO compliance officer, so someone who helps with ISO. A very boring subject, but her passion made it work.
Love her.
There's lots of different reasons. I've had some very, very technical people on. Gemma Fairclough, so she works in, she's an HR kind of person.
Yeah.
And again, she she made HR look really good, right? Because the stereotype that HR people aren't for you, they're against you. But actually, she's like, no, we do care. So to answer your question, who's the best person I've had on? I generally can't say.
That was a good selection, though. You've had some great guests.
I've had some great guests, and including yourself also.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
You're like in the top.
Thanks. I'll take that.
Well, I realised the reason what makes the show good is it depends on the questions I ask, right? And I haven't asked you the best questions, so that's what I'm sorry. Because we both know you've got an awesome personality, and I've asked you really dull questions.
Oh,
that's what I mean.
You know, you can always ask me anything. Can't answer it all.
I was gonna say, can't. Wildly inappropriate. Okay. No, I can't ask you that. Donald Duck or Daffy Duck? Who's cooler?
I'm trying to think of the difference now.
One is Walt Disney and white, and Daffy Duck is black and Warner Brothers.
Daffy.
One speaks properly and one doesn't. Daffy, yeah? Okay. Did you ever watch cartoons as a kid, by the way?
I did. do you know what? This morning I was thinking of one. It's so weird you asked me that, because this morning I was thinking of one. Did you ever watch, you're probably too young, but did you ever watch The Muskehounds, which was based around the Musketeers? And they were like King Charles Spaniel dogs being musketeers.
Was one of them called Dogtanian? Yes, I do remember that. Because D'Artagnan, Dogtanian.
I loved it. I don't know why I was randomly thinking about it this morning. I haven't thought about it in sort of 40 years, but it was fabulous. I used to love it.
I did watch it. It was a good show. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. Darren Glanville, he's saying, see you in Manchester? Because he's going to be there with the Fathom crew.
See you there, Darren.
Do you have any final thoughts, nuggets of wisdom you want to leave for people regarding event management?
I think it is a passion. I really do. I think that if you particularly love multitasking, if you are very organized, and if you can if you like talking to people, you've got to work with people all day long, no matter what you do, then this is definitely the profession for you. But it's not dull. There's something different going on all the time. And if anyone's got any questions about event management or would like to ask me anything, I'm always open to people getting in contact with me. So jump on LinkedIn or email me, chobden@divcom.co.uk, and I'd happily answer any questions that you might have. But yeah, it's served me well for a number of years. So love it.